Hi guys, it's Mrs. Slates again. Today, again, what we're going to be still working on is slope. Now, you've already learned about rise over run and talking about slope in terms of a graph. Another way that you can calculate a slope is if you are given 2 points. So we know slope is the steepness of a line, it's the rise over the run, but you can also use a formula to help you to calculate the slope of a line as well. This is a very important formula that we're going to actually be using a ton this year. And how this works is, I'm going to say it for you. It looks a little bit strange, but when I explain it to you, you'll kind of get it. All right, so basically, here's what you do. You take the two, so we have two ordered pairs, right? So we'll call this red one the first set of ordered pairs, and we'll call the blue one the second set of ordered pairs. Okay, this is my X value in the first set of ordered pairs. This is my Y value in the first set of ordered pairs. This is my X value in the second set of ordered pairs. And this is my Y value in the second set of ordered pairs. So pretty much what you do is you take your two Y values and you subtract them. Then you take your two X values and you subtract them. So how the formula works is you take the Y value that's in the second spot and you subtract it from the Y value that's in the first spot. You divide that by the X value that's in the second spot minus the X value that's in the first spot. So remember it as your change in your Y over your change in your X, which is still the same exact thing as your rise over your run. Okay, so basically how we're going to do this is we want to label our ordered pairs, and we're going to be plugging that into the slope formula. Our calculators are going to be very, very helpful to us, especially if you have those fraction calculators, because if you have that fraction calculator, it'll actually take everything into account and will plug everything in all as one step for you. As long as you're plugging in all the buttons correctly into your calculator, you will be getting your answers correctly on the first shot. So here we go. All right, so if we look at this, we actually have a table of values. All right, we want to pick out 2 points from this table. So actually, there's 4 points from this table. And we want to create a slope from the table or figure out the steepness if we were to actually plot it. So I'm just going to pick out the first two ordered pairs that I see, and I'm going to write them down. So I'm going to write down -2, -8, and -1, -5. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to label everything, and it's a very good habit for you to do as well. So this is the X value in the first spot, the Y value in the first spot. This is the X value in the second set of ordered pairs, and this is the Y value in the second set of ordered pairs. All right, I'm going to write out slope formula. Slope formula says I take y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to take those values that we labeled and we're going to plug into the formula. I always want you to draw a big fraction bar, automatically put a minus sign up top in the numerator and a minus sign in the bottom in the numerator. Okay, your next step. Let's start subbing in those values. Y sub 2 we identified was -5. So -5 goes in the first spot. The next value that we need is y sub 1. Y sub 1 we identified as -8. I'm going to protect that with a little set of parentheses there. All right, the next value that we need is x sub 2. X sub 2 we identified as -1. And the last value we need is x sub 1. And there it is down here in the bottom. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my calculator. Okay, and I'm going to push the fraction button. Whoops, let me clear out that what I have. I'm going to push my fraction button. Okay, and I'm going to type in -5 minus -8. And then on the bottom, I'm going to type in -1 minus -2. Hit enter. Once you do that all completely, no work needed, boom, you get your slope. Your slope is going to be 3, and your calculator did everything for you. Okay, so as long as you're plugging everything in correctly into your calculator, not confusing negative signs and subtraction symbols, you're going to be golden. All right, so let's do a couple more and make sure you can practice using your calculator correctly. Alrighty, here we go. Okay, let's find the slope of these ones. So again, let's label our ordered pairs. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. And I'm going to write that formula. Y sub 2 minus Y sub 1 over X sub 2 minus X sub 1. Okay, automatically make the fraction bar, put a minus sign up top, minus sign on the bottom. Okay, start plugging in. So Y sub 2 is -1, Y sub 1, -4. X sub 2, 3, X sub 1, -2. Okay, gonna get my calculator. I'm gonna clear out what I had in there from that previous problem. Remember, hit the fraction button. Okay, I'm gonna type in -1 minus -4. On the bottom, I'm gonna have a 3 minus -2. Hit enter. There's my answer, 3/5. Okay, I want you guys right now to pause your video, and I want you to see if you can complete problems B, C, and D on your own. Okay, so let's see if you guys got those right. So on part B, you should have came up with -8/3 if you plugged that in correctly. In part C, you guys would have came up with 0. Now in part D, I purposefully didn't solve the problem the entire way because I wanted you to see what would happen on your calculator. So if you plug this one in correctly, you're going to do -2 minus 4 all over 1 minus 1. Now, if I didn't have my calculator, here's what's happening. -2 minus 4, that gives me -6, and 1 minus 1 gives you 0. In math, we're never, ever, ever allowed to divide by 0. Okay, so you can't have your 0 on the bottom. So that's a bad face. That's a sad face right there. Okay, whenever you get that to happen, we get an answer that's called undefined. So when you get a 0 overall, that's sort of that line that you had with the horizontal line where you got a slope of 0, and that was Mr. Slope Guy's cheeks. But whenever you have the vertical line, the straight up and down, that's the undefined line where you really don't like have a slope because you're going straight up and down. It's almost like you're falling off a cliff. All right. So when we take a look at what happens on your calculator, let's type that in. So -2 minus 4. And then on the bottom, we get 1 minus 1. Enter. You're going to get a divide by 0 error. Anytime you get a divide by 0 error, I want you guys not to write that as your answer, but I want you to write down undefined, because that means whenever you're dividing by 0, you can't break something up into 0 parts. So that means we're going to have undefined as our slope. All right, let's keep going. Okay, the last problems that we're going to do, okay, is whenever you're given the slope and you have to find out a starting value. All right, so when we look at this, we know slope is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. All right, so we'll label our points. x1, y1, x2, y2. And we're just going to go in and we're going to plug in everything that we know, except this time they gave us the slope answer. They give us a slope answer of 2. Okay, so I know the slope is 2. Okay, I know y sub 2, is k. Y sub 1, let's see what that one is. Y sub 1 is 3. X sub 2 is 5. And x sub 1 is 1. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we can't really use our calculator that much other than to help us to simplify. So I'm just going to write down the 2. Okay, I'm going to write down my k minus 3. And I know 5 minus 1 is 4. So now I have this equation that's 2 equals k minus 3 over 4. So I'm going to clear out that 4 by multiplying both sides by 4. Then I'm going to come up with 8 equals k minus 3. And you guys know from before that you need to add both sides by 3 to come up with your answer. So that missing value would be 11. So that means the ordered pair that I would need to get a slope of 2 would be 5, 11, and 1, 3 to get our answer. Okay, so let's try this last one out. Okay, the slope that we need is negative 1/5. So I'm going to write that on the next page. Okay, and I'm writing this on the next slide. I'll move over in 1 minute. Okay, the ordered pair we have is negative 4 and k. And then the other one is 6 with negative 7. Okay, and our job is we got to figure out what k is. All right, so we're going to do like we did before. Let's label everything. This is x1, y1. This is x2 and y2. And I know slope formula is m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Okay, so let's start plugging in what we know. I know m is negative 1/5. So I'm going to plug that in. Write my equal sign, my big fraction, and the two subtraction signs. I know y sub 2 is negative 7. I know y sub 1 is the variable this time. X sub 2 is 6. And x sub 1 is negative 4. Okay, let's start simplifying some things down. So I'm going to rewrite my negative 1/5. Okay, 6 minus negative 4, that's going to give me 10. All right, I'm going to multiply both sides by 10. So 10 times negative 1/5, that's going to give me negative 2. So negative 7 minus k will equal negative 2. We're going to add 7 to both sides. We're going to get 5 is equal to negative k. And remember, there's like a negative 1 that's hiding out there. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. And we're going to get our answer of k equals negative 5. Okay, so those last couple problems were just an application of how to find a point if you're given the slope. But in looking back, the main idea for today's lesson was how do you get a slope if you are given 2 points, okay? And in looking back, it's that main slope formula, right? So y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. All those mean are the places where you are in the ordered pairs. So the little tiny ones mean the first set of ordered pairs. The little tiny twos mean the second set of ordered pairs, okay? Got to label everything, plug into your formula, Use your calculator. Remember, your calculator can be your best friend on this if you simplify everything down. If you get a division by zero error, like you see right here on that calculator, remember that means you have an undefined slope. So I hope that was helpful to you, and good luck on solving these problems.